5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. This is The Dying of the Light, Season 3 of the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group using the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world we've been developing together for a while. About the collective, as well as the stories we're telling, at the starfallcollective.com. We're back with a new episode. Let's find out who's in this episode. I'm Sir Robert, a father and entrepreneur, and I'm the host of this season's story. With me tonight are a few friends playing the characters in this drama. Please say your name, something about yourself if you like, and a brief description of the character you're playing. Why don't we start with Jared?
My name's Jared. I am playing Yoshka. He's a human bard and probably the best traveled of the group. He's one of the only ones who hasn't been basically hunkered down in a village, but has a little merchant circuit that his band of Menuhin wayfarers has been traveling.
And Jacob?
Hi, my name is Jacob Burbridge, and I will be playing Talid, whom has recently not overcome, but suppressed his PTSD from his sister being murdered by his uncle.
And it may just be TSD. You might still be in it.
That's a fair point, actually.
All right. And Aaron Joy.
Aaron Joy, Durham, North Carolina. I play Neno. She is old for a human, but since she is not a human, that barely matters. She's a sprightly and young gnome.
Dwight?
I'm Dwight. I'm from Bermuda, and I'm playing Belvari, who is a untrusting human who will never trust again. And I'm also not from Bermuda. I'm from Texas.
Oh, Patrick.
Yes, I am Patrick. I'm playing the character Toll, who was on autopilot last week, but who's conscious in character will now be inhabited by its rightful owner.
Has a soul once more.
That's right. And let's do Josh next.
All right. My name's Josh. I'm from West Texas. Tonight I'll be playing Inkatink. He's a Kinku fella. He's a little crow guy, but don't call him a crow. You'll get his hackles up. And looking forward to bringing the show to you.
Josh, you sound a lot like Matthew McConaughey.
That's a real compliment, brother. Thank you.
That was his long lost self. And Matt.
Hey, my name is Matthew Talamini. I am a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island. You can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. I play the shirtless wizard, Diamondback. Probably the most narcissistic of the group.
Outwardly narcissistic.
Inwardly nihilistic.
That's right.
Oh.
All right. So I want to start this episode with just a little catch up about a couple of points. I'm going to cut some of these in post, and for the podcast, I'll put them in as little interludes, between at the end of an episode or something like that. But just to catch up some of our viewers on things that might not be top of mind for them, our listeners, and also for the players to be remembering things. Yoshka, this is from our conversation earlier today in the real world. Yoshka has been sketching out from his memories, recent memory, past month or so, the places they've gone and the people they've been at various times. He's made some maps on the leather that they got from a mammoth, a decroded mammoth some time ago. And he has been recording a couple of things. One of them are, one thing he's been recording is his memory of his youth, the circuit that the Menuhin wayfarers would take as they went from town to town. He doesn't remember all the town names because he was quite young, but he remembers some. And he recorded the events from Garoda to Miradau and the orc slavers and Sleen's death and his impressions of the road. Are they accurate? Are they to scale? Time won't tell. But we will find out more about Yoshka's recollections as we go.
Time knows, but it's not telling.
That's right. That's right. So that's kind of what's been going on with Yoshka. You all should have a digital copy of that in your Slack as well. You can bring those up. Yoshka says he's been doing that collaboratively with the characters. Talad is with us. He's been pretty quiet. He is dealing with a lot of trauma, and he's trying to figure out if he is amidst some stranger danger. What he does know for sure is that he was amidst some relative danger that was absolutely terrifying. Thank you.
Extremely relative danger.
So that's right. So one of the things that happened recently, Talad has been finding some solace in the stones around him that you have found. He was an apprentice stonemaker, a stone worker, I should say, in his in Orvan, and he's been noticing some peculiar stones around you. Last episode, I don't know if you heard any of this, but last episode they found some strange cubed stones that looked worked by hand. Talad went up and scraped away, pulled away some of the moss on them, and they found very etchings. Diamondback has inklings that they are snakes. Is it because they are snakes, or is it because Diamondback sees snakes where he goes?
Diamondback rolled really well, and so
Wasn't
he
that
thinks that they're snakes because that's what the DM told him when he rolled really well.
And Inkatink made a carving copy of the symbol and showed it to Neno that night, and they stitched it somewhere into one of her skirts, I believe.
Yeah. And Neno has been doing her best to do her best. She's low on components right now, but is, trying to make the best out of what's been going on. She has also been, she's kind of won the protective affections of Toll and Yoshka in particular, who seem to want to make sure she's all right, and she's a friendly gnome anyway. So
I'm also low on hit points, which might change. If anybody can remember how many XP we got last week, I can upgrade my character.
500.
Something.
It's 500. I think 575.
Okay.
I remember having at least 25 XP to go until 3rd level. So
575. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Should I give that to Toll as well?
Do it. Actually,
Okay.
Did I give it to Toll? I don't know. Go for it. I don't think I did. I don't think I gave it to anybody.
Should I give it to Belvari again as well?
Have you already given it to Lavari? If so, then yes. If not, then no.
Can I give it to Diamondback for a third time?
Wait, he's giving it to Diamondback twice.
Belvari, speaking of Belvari, has. And did you send me the.
Yeah, an email.
Yeah, okay. Belvari finally felt secure in Orvan and was,
Dancing.
starting to socialize. He was, shaking his legs and doing the Charleston or whatever. And but it turned out they did not seem appreciative of his contributions, and there's a whole lot of bloodletting and stuff, and he wasn't a fan, so they left. Toll has he hasn't been here recently. He's been with the group for a month, but he's a half orc of few words sometimes. He seems to be really. This is the DM sort of third person omniscient impression. So third person intuitive, I'll say. He seems to be pretty stable and just a really even keel member of the group. He's contributing well and helping, and also I'm guessing, is glad not to be in this world alone. He's had some tough stuff too. Yoshka will remember, and some of you may remember, that Toll also is a wayfarer. He has some experience traveling. I don't know. He could possibly tell whether it was as much as Yoshka, but they are both wayfarers of different troops. They are not the same troop of wayfarer. So they may or may not have encountered their troops, each other's troops before, but either way, here they are. Diamondback is, well, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll start with Inkatink. Inkatink joined the party. He was in a dire way during the false night. The trees were alive with the sound of killing, and Birdman person was not doing well when the party came along, and they seemed to have struck a deal that they could help each other and survive. Inkatink's been really useful. He seems like he's especially taken a liking to Diamondback, or at least an interest in Diamondback. I don't know how to say that right, and I won't speak for Josh right now. And then finally, Diamondback. Diamondback is a curious member of our group in that he is the first member we started tracking on camera, as it were, and in spite of his best efforts to do some fatally foolish things from time to time, I have not been able to kill him. And Diamondback, I have played fair. When you lit that fire on you during the false night, and those little plant creatures came for you, they just kept rolling low. And when that Giralon, he rolled all single-digit rolls, and he would have just torn you to shreds. But he didn't. Every single roll is a single-digit roll, Mr. AC. I don't know what to say.
I only got one single-digit roll, and it's followed by a natural 20.
That's right. It looks like maybe someone is looking out for you. Maybe Garatone. So
Cimderon.
Who can?
I'm more of a gaze, I think. So
Yeah,
I'll meet this Cinderon.
Garatone and Cimderon. So we are in this forest. We're going to go about our business. You all slept last night. And by the way, you got a long rest. If you recall, we checked to see what we were doing that at the end of the episode. You all got a long rest. And as a matter of fact, based on our little worksheet there, Toll and Inkatink also got inspiration. So for the day today, you have inspiration for the character sheet and can.
Sorry.
No, I thought somebody dropped a dish, but no, it was a rim shot or whatever. So Toll and Inkatink have inspiration. What you did is you had found this low, wide. You spent a lot of time. Sorry, you spent a lot of time looking for a place to stay. Started around noon or maybe just after, and you found this low, wide stone that also looked carved, and it had about a 2-ish foot gap that, if you crawled under it, going about 6 feet in, it opened up into a, let's call it almost like an animal den, but also of that same kind of carved, once polished stone with a dirt floor, thin dirt floor on top of some more stone. So you're in some kind of probably very old, you're not sure, little.
everything okay?
It is. It's not tall enough for you to stand in any of. Neno might be able to stand in it. Inkatink may be able to, or stand with his head hunched. The rest of you would be able to sit with your legs stretched and lean back against the walls. It's got a. Go ahead.
I think Inkatink is outside in a tree.
That's right. And it's got a roughly 6x6. Sorry, not 6x6. I don't remember what I said, but big enough for y'all to be in there, line it. The ventilation is not good enough for you to be able to light a campfire or anything like that, and it's a low ceiling, right? So you would get really stuffy fast. It is good enough for you to have either some magical lights or a single torch would be fine. Inkatink and Diamondback had a bit of a falling out of sorts, or potentially falling out of sorts. There were murderous threats. Were they in jest? Who can know? But there was some displeasure voiced by Diamondback when Inkatink decided that instead of simply making a potion for Diamondback, he would make it fair from Inkatink's perspective, and I'm staying out of it from the DM third person omniscient and saying fair from Inkatink's perspective was they did a sort of a odds and evens kind of deal to see which vial of blood, Inkatink's or Diamondback's, would get made into the potion. Is that right, Inkatink?
Yeah, Inkatink was about to get a third vial and make a potion that neither he nor Diamondback knew whose it was, and then was going to make a dummy potion and have either Diamondback or Inkatink take it. And so neither of them would know which of the two's item was being sought after, and it would be up to fate as to who would be responsible for bearing that knowledge. So, but then everybody said, no, we don't know what would happen if you did that. And so he kind of shrugged and instead just got Diamondback to choose between his two hands which vial of blood, Diamondback's or Inkatink's. And Diamondback chose Inkatink's blood.
And Diamondback told Yoshka what we're going to do in the morning is we're going to follow, he's going to drink that, and we're going to follow it, and we're going to find his thing, and then we're going to do it for me as well.
All right. Inkatink, I'm going to let you retcon this if you want to, because it was like right at the end and we were pushing through it. Did you actually go and sleep up in a tree, or do you want to stay here with these guys?
I made a stealth check to do it and everything. Diamondback said, I'm going to kill that bird or kill that crow. The record will have to show. And hearing that, Inkatink realized something and disappeared.
Okay. Fair enough.
And at this point, you guys don't even know that he's gone.
And you rolled well, if I recall.
I'm not sure that's how stealth works.
I rolled in the 20s.
Incapable of looking around and knowing that you're not there.
Right, but
I
I
looked
beat
around.
that's why I said, I mean, at this point, yeah, but you're metagaming now because you wouldn't have any reason to look around.
We're in a tiny room.
All right.
I'm immediately aware that you're not there.
Not immediately because I beat your passive perception.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of you may be immediately aware. I think Belvari has already gone to sleep, right? He turned his back.
You did turn you back to the room, distinctly.
So, that
Don't
said,
worry, isn't immediately aware that you're gone.
If you want to know things, don't go to sleep, you bum.
He hopes you're eaten by a snake.
Speaking of being eaten by snakes, did you set up watches for the night? I think we said we did. Normal kinds of watches.
I don't remember doing that at all.
Okay. In the camping
I
workshop,
would
I
have
think we
wanted to,
said it.
though.
Yeah.
My character would have wanted to.
So what I'm going to do is, why don't y'all tell me who's on watch for the first, second, and third watches right now? And we're in the night right now, and we'll go to the morning, but I'm going to roll for encounters. If there are any. Third watch for Belvari. First watch for Neno.
I'll take second.
Second watch goes to
Talon.
Talid.
He's not going to be able to sleep anyways because PTSD, etc., etc.
Okay.
Just
Diamondback is going to use his take some time to change which snake his staff will transform into, and transform it into the big old boa constrictor, which is going to lay across the entrance. And it has the standard instructions, which are: if you see anything dangerous, come back to Diamondback, wake him up, and turn back into a staff.
And your boa constrictor is big enough that if you wanted to, it could fill the entrance. However, it would block your airflow. So what are you going to
It's
have
just
to do?
it's going to lie across the entrance,
Okay, it's not
blocking it, but like if a predator comes or something stumbles across our place, it will contact this snake first.
Okay,
And
sounds
if it
good.
ideally, if it tries to get in, it will step on the snake or step on some leaves near the snake, or even if the snake falls asleep or something.
Okay, and it's on the outside of the entrance.
Yeah, it's on the outside.
Okay, and Aaron Joy?
No, whatever time she spends awake, she will spend testing things, trying to turn components into something useful. Trying to identify which of the hodgepodge of things she's
Okay.
collected
Great.
turns out to be components.
And you have the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
And Yoshka would say, "Listen, Diamondback, we are all in a fragile position. We don't even know what we don't know about this place. Let's have Nana look at everything in Spolash's pouch and divvy that up as much as possible. We saw last time. It's better to have things in people's hands than in the shared pouch if we get surprised."
Indeed. A strong suggestion.
and Matt, remind me, did I already give you stuff from Spolash's pouch, or was that a to-do item that I forgot to do? I'll cut that in post.
I did not get anything from Spolash's pouch, I think.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I have stuff for you. I have to just select it out and give it to you. No, then you know that your veil resets. I think it's 2 charges every dawn.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So if you,
Long
sorry,
rest. Yeah.
yeah,
Wait, 4 charges every long rest and 2 charges every dawn.
it should be in the
Right.
thing. But you know that means that as long as you're
Now's
before
a good time to
dawn,
use it.
now's a
Yeah.
good time to use up some charges. I'm going to roll and see what's going on with your encounters for the evening. This is watch number 1, which is going to be Nano. She's
Aside, practically speaking, I'm not very speedy at divvying things up. So if you guys want to do the divvying, and we'll just
Yeah.
pretend Nano is the typist. Thanks.
I think I was imagining you would put it in the shared component.
I will.
Sweet.
Then
I actually had some stuff for you, and I just have to find which list I put it in. But anyway, give me a minute on that. So let me do the encounter checks first. This is first watch. Nano is on watch, as is the snake, basically.
wait, I'm actually gonna say, what do you guys think of this? I found where is it? I found this wood of some different trees. Them together, I think it will keep us safe at night. This is a very good shelter, and I don't know how long we will be here. I think I can do it for 2 nights. No, 3. But it's a gamble.
Could we move it in the morning if we wanted to move?
Each one lasts only 1 night, but it will keep us safe all night. Well, not until light, but 2 watches.
I'll be taking the 3rd watch, so we'll be totally safe. Don't worry, mumbles in his sleep.
Do you think we should use it tonight or save it? It is our first night, but we have found a good shelter.
Yeah, maybe save it for when we don't find a good shelter.
And I remember
Yes, it
the
may be
book.
more useful if we are unable to find sufficient shelter at some time. I agree with Belvari.
All right.
I will take first watch then with whoever else and help keep watch.
All right. And I'm going to roll these encounters. Thank you, Jared. I'm going to roll these encounters, and I have components from Spolash now. I just had to find them, which I will put into the correct stuff. The correct. I'll put it into the shared component pouch just in a moment. Okay, so first watch. This is Neno and Jared, and just to give you all a sense of these, I just wanted to remind you of these mechanics. The first watch you're in a place, I have to roll a 20 to have an encounter. Second watch, I have to roll an 18. Third watch, I have to roll a 16. It drops by 2 each watch that you remain in the same place. You can think of that as animals or enemies kind of catching the scent or something and kind of starting to come, something like that. With 2 of you on watch, the world is at disadvantage to find you. You're being aware of things, making sure everybody's quiet.
Does it change anything if there's a third person keeping watch? Because Inkatink's just not going to sleep tonight.
It doesn't, Inkatink, but you're going to have to do your own watch. I'll roll for you separately.
Okay.
Just you're not with them, so. Oops.
Well, I'm in.
And I have a little
He's
thing to
not
say to
with us.
Talon before we do our watches, if that's cool.
Okay. And Inkatink, what? Sorry, Josh. What did you say? You're what?
I said I didn't go far. I just went up in a tree as close to the entrance as possible. I want to be
Right.
just up
I'm just
high
saying
above the entrance.
you would notice things like birds and stuff or whatever, and they would notice things like rats and stuff.
Yep.
And you might not notice each other's. Go for it. Say Talon.
As we're settling down, I look at Talon and say, I grew up. I know it has been a bad day for both of us.
Talon's gonna chuckle at that, like sort of absent-mindedly.
You don't know me, and I don't know you, and well, you are related to the people who tried to kill us. But they did try to kill you too. So, and Yoshka takes out one of his 2. This it kind of looks like sugar cane, but it's when he puts it in your hand. If you take it, you can feel it's really cold. And he says, I do want you to live. Don't regret me saying that. But take this. You don't have to stay with us forever, but for now, I think we can help each other.
Talon is going to weakly smile and take it and sort of look it over and say, thank you. What is it, by the way?
It's a custom item
Best part.
that I'm not sure how to transfer. A frozen cane. You can just look it up here and then.
So Robert, real quick, while they're doing that,
Yeah.
in the text of the staff that I'm using to make this snake, since I'm level 4 now, I have access to CR2 beasts, and the only CR2 snake is the giant constrictor snake, which is what this one is, and it's huge is its size class, so it can probably wrap its way like all the way around the entrance or whatever rock it is we're in. Like it's a big snake.
It's an anaconda.
Okay. I'm game for you to do that however you like. Also, Matt, just to say right now, and I'll introduce this as canon, I'm okay with you making the snake transform into a snake of whatever of the kind that you're going to transform to, of any age. So you could, if you wanted, make a snake a juvenile and therefore a smaller of this kind. Just so you know. When I say of any age, I mean up to like a regular mature size for it.
Why would I care about its age? It's not a real living snake.
Because snakes
exhibit indeterminate growth like many other species, like sailfish, which means that the older they get, the bigger they get.
You can make a decrepit old necromantic snake.
Well, this is like
Just
the
1
size
million meters long.
This is the same size class as a treant or a fire giant. It is
Wow.
It is way heavier than any of us.
It's freaking huge.
I will
So-
let you determine what to do with the information I told you. I can think of some things one could do.
So
Okay.
it blocks the whole entrance from outside, coiled up.
I mean, not so that it suffocates us, but like you have to climb over probably like a 5-foot wall of snake to get at us.
Do you have to do this? It smells like snake in here.
Snake.
Belvari
Snakes
was
have a
right
lovely
for
odor.
once.
Belvari's almost always right.
All right, so let's roll for
The Knight's Encounters.
the night of the encounters. This is the Neno and Yoshka
Yoshka.
watch.
Wait, are you identifying components, or how much of that is the first watch?
I'm gonna spend any time that I'm not having to fight off a monster trying to take stuff and see if it's components.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're both.
I would say that means I would put that as you on watch and her distractedly so, which is okay. I mean, if it was just you on watch, but you're doing something else, I do that with advantage. And by the way, well, whatever. Okay, that was an 8, and I'm going to do Inkatinks. He's up in the trees. 17, not a 20. Okay, second watch. So that was an uneventful first watch. Neno, you identify what you're going to identify. Second, we have Talid. Talid, are you going to do watch with someone else, or it's just you?
I don't know. Probably just him.
Is anybody else doing the middle watch?
Inkating also, because he might call out and say, I'm being attacked.
Sorry, what?
Which would wake some
Oh,
of us up.
you want to listen for Inkating? Sorry, what is it you said?
Do you want to do Inkating's first watch? Because that might.
I just did Inkating's first.
Oh, I
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
attention.
No, it's all right. He got a 17,
Gotcha.
but I needed a 20. So now I need an 18 for both of y'all on this time.
Toll will keep Talon company. He'll see that nobody else volunteered to stay up with him, so he will.
And before Yoshka goes to bed, he'll step outside and say, "My friend, are you okay up there?" To Inkatink.
Okay.
Yeah, in your mind, you hear
Your true voice.
Hey,
I think you just
Josh.
hear a whistle in your mind.
All right.
Is it like do I recognize it as the message thing?
Yep.
that I've done before? I will respond, "I'm worried about you up there. We have had bad things happen in the night.
Huge snake.
There's room for you down here."
Hmm.
And then go in.
All right. And then one sec, I gotta. Let me roll for this is Toll and Talid. I'm going for an 8. Going for it. 18 is the threshold, and a 5 with disadvantage. Now I'm rolling for Inkatink, and 18 is the threshold. 5 again. All right. Third watch is Belvari. Is anybody going to do the third watch with Belvari?
If Diamondback wakes up, will he have a full rest?
You got a long rest. Y'all are here for a long while.
Yeah. Okay. So Diamondback is gonna get up, and he's going to be watching crouched on top of the big snake outside.
Okay. I'm gonna if you're outside, I'm gonna let you double for both Belvari and Inkatink because you're kind of splitting them. So
And can I look and see if I can see where Inkatink is?
sure. Inkatink, are you trying to be hidden?
Yeah, he got a 24 stealth to hide.
Diamondback, roll an investigation check, and against his stealth.
That's going to be a natural 20 plus 5, so 25.
You do see him, though. I'll leave it to you whether you make it known that you see him.
You just barely.
Yeah.
You see
No,
a
I'm
different
just-
shade of black up in the boughs of the tree.
I crouch here on top of this enormous snake and just keep an eye on him.
Belvari is a druid of the night, and
That's
so
true.
he is going to kind of go outside and orbit the entrance sneakily.
Okay. Belvari has some interesting attributes as a druid of the night. Are you going to be doing it in animal form?
No, I don't.
Just in Belvari form?
Just Belvari form.
Okay. So let me, while you're doing that, I'm going to roll for, this is a 16 because you're on this watch. And an 8. 8 and 18, so it's a good thing you're both watching. And this is for Inkatink and Diamondback. And 8 again, 8 and 12. Huh, it's two things in a row. Okay, so a couple of things here. I'm going to tell you some things that are in Spolash's pouch. These are the things you find in Spolash's pouch. One, you find the pebble, the sending stone.
Sending stone.
You find a.
Is that two-way? Can they hear us?
Not unless we activate it.
Is it active?
We might not even be able to activate it because we don't know the command word, right? Or we might have to attune to it to know the command word.
Is this you have,
Diamondback should talk to Yoshika about that.
you have seen one of these before? You know for certain? If we are to speak of our location and our plans, I want to be sure Spolash is not hearing.
What if we just don't speak our location or our plans?
It's my impression that you can basically know the properties of a magical item by like spending time with it and poking and prodding at it a little bit.
That's right.
And it says,
So I think that, we would know the properties of the sending stone. But I myself do not actually know them at this moment.
Okay. 1 second. I'm going to roll up some of these from.
Yeah, so it's when you touch
Go ahead.
one stone, you can use an action to cast the sending spell from it. So you have to use it deliberately. Apparently, somebody else had used it deliberately and was sending those
Let it
messages
on or something.
through it.
Well, that rule doesn't fit with our experience of it, though. It could be something custom.
That's true.
So Yoshika is going
sending
to.
is two-way. It looks like. Oh wait, no, it's not two-way. It's only one way.
Take out some the leaf and the bark of this tree and identify on it to try to understand if it is just on all the time or what.
Good. Yoshika, you spend some time comprehending it. The process for this is a lot like the process for doing components, except you're casting a spell, but you still have to really
Put it in my mouth.
focus. And yeah, you could put it in your mouth, but you could roll it around in your ears or nose or any orifice.
When I was a kid, my brother gave me a leather bag filled with aquarium rocks, and he said they were wishing rocks, and if I shoved them up my nose, I would get a wish. And in my kindergarten class, my teacher found me shoving
Your
rocks.
brother.
And you have such a strong sneeze.
Probably
Oh,
hurt
man.
somebody.
Shotgun. So yeah, here's what you find out. One, it seems to be a normal sending stone, and your impression from what you understand about it is that Spolak camp as it were, had been using this to communicate, and neither of them in the turmoil noticed its absence. However, as you focus on it right now, you still hear some sounds. It's not quite clear what the sounds are, but your best impression. Actually, you know what? Roll me an investigation check. I want to see what your impression is of the sound you hear.
Let's see. 7.
7.
I noticed it's hard,
Yeah, that's right.
smooth.
7's just a little below average. You hear what sounds like burbling. You haven't heard voices from it in a while. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's talk really quickly about Spolash's pouch. I have added stuff from Spolash's pouch. I need to roll a few more of these guys real quickly. Give me one sec.
I have a real quick.
Go for it.
This is just about D&D Beyond. My tree stride pendant looks like I have to manually reset that
What does manually reset mean?
because it's like 1 per day, not 1 per long rest. So I think that.
At dawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just keep track of it.
Gotcha.
And then sorry, what did I get? These are the components. The spells that you notice are, first of all, remember that you guys had asked, Diamondback in particular had asked Elephine about spells of locate object or find the path. And they just didn't seem to have many of them. However, there was 1 find the path and 2 locate objects in Spolash's pouch. Here's what they are. The find the path is the eye of an orc, a gray-eyed orc. And the locate object, there are 2 of them, and they are the claws of a red-beaked kanku.
Don't show that to Inkatink. Or we don't know his name, do we?
No, the bird.
Don't show that to the bird.
So that's in the party pouch.
It is to the bottom. It says from Spolash. And I'm also going to tell you, these are the key spells you got. I need to give you an extra one of several of the spells because Spolash had some components, but he also had some like ready-made spells. I'll have those ready for you in a sec. There was 1 really powerful piece of magic that you noticed, Neno, a component that had some powerful stuff on it. It had a level 0 poison spray. This is the root of a cake bark cherry tree. It had level 2 see invisibility, level 2 blur, which is an interesting spell, and it had a level 9 gate.
Okay, I couldn't take this.
That's fine. Yeah, and they're in the pouch. You can see them. But poison spray, invisibility, see invisibility, blur, and gate. The thing of special interest there is gate. There's, and actually I gave you the wrong thing there. Hold on. Gate is a level 9 spell. That's the highest level spell. Other spells is jump, detect poison and disease, inflict wounds, floating. Write these down. But floating disc, enhance ability, darkness, calm emotions, blindness and deafness, hellish rebuke, and one of Spolash's favorites, command. Command somebody to do something and they do it. So there you go. Those are the key things from the pouch that you lifted.
I did not expect him to have this. These are things we have seen. This is not better than what we have.
I was also expecting him to have something substantially more amazing than we could find.
Is Belvari paying attention? Is this like, when is this?
During the night.
Morning.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
After the 3rd watch.
Yeah. Belvari's like, maybe he has one of these and holds up his spell. Guga.
He did cast powerful spells.
He seemed not to know what you were speaking of when you spoke to him of it.
Lying.
Yes, where is his supply of components with which to catch magic missile? He seemed to be capable of casting magic missile many times. I do not think that we acquired this pouch after he had consumed the very last magic missile.
We acquired it. I wasn't there. Never mind.
Right, we got it pretty early. But they were all shooting magic missiles. There are magic missiles all over. In Diamondback's mind, there are magic missiles all over the place. And, there should be some magic missile stuff in here. It's an interesting question.
When he slipped away, surely his aide gave him something before he came back.
It makes notices visiting togs.
Did you say togs?
I did.
What does that mean?
Clothing, gear that you
Oh.
put on to go somewhere in particular, like visiting your underlings.
I don't know that word, but that's great. That's great. Thank you.
When the sun comes up, Diamondback gets down from the snake, stands in front of the entrance to our shelter, turns the snake back into a staff, and looks with a direct stare at the place where Inkatink is.
Inkatink, you see him kind of unhitch a few items, ropes, hooks, whatever, and basically disassembled his little sling up in a tree hammock bed. And he comes down and he looks at you and he kind of paces back and forth a little bit, and you can see that he's kind of agitated. And then he kind of squares up at you and cocks his head at you, and he takes a deep breath and he closes his eyes, and he says, "Listen here, Padre. One of these days you're going to find yourself with somebody at your back. And if you don't lift a finger to make sure that that person's your friend, it's going to be somebody who you're not going to want to have there. Somebody with a knife, somebody with a garrote. So how about you play nice, put a little bit of effort in making a friend every now and then. All right?" And he kind of pats him on the shoulder with an open hand, and then walks over to the place where they were doing the ritual with the hand stuff before, and he just kneels down and gets out the cube and the blood and the components and waits.
I know we have some decisions to make this morning. I think we should discuss it over breakfast.
Yeah, sure. Diamondback's chewing on a ration of probably jerkied elk meat.
Elf meat.
Yes, today
So
it's important.
is there who would be like the party cook? Is there anybody who would take to that
We
particular?
had one, but he died in the woods.
Yeah, you got slayed.
Jacob, what was his previous splint?
But he died.
And Gold was a cook too. And he died.
Gulp was a cook too.
I do not volunteer to be the cook.
Diamondback is chewing on, some hardtack or something, and you see him sort of absent-mindedly fingering the scrap of leather from the body of his friend Gulp, thinking of
Inkatink.
past stews that had been made in the morning with delicious elk meat.
Inkatink hears everybody talking about this, and he pulls out his component pouch and he starts whipping out cantrips, and suddenly there's a fire, and suddenly there's he starts grabbing rations and throwing them onto the fire and starts casting prestidigitate on them, and soon you see just a bunch of sausages sizzling on the fire.
Now, listen, guys,
It's like those real sausages.
I want to narrate something about this from my perspective for you, not my in-game, but you all will have noticed by now that Inkatink, though he does not cast, he uses components, so he's not casting componentlessly, but he doesn't use he doesn't use anything more complex than cantrips in general, but he seems to have a nearly limitless ready supply of cantrips. Y'all will have noticed this. I'll leave it to you to discuss or not, but there you go. A little bit of color, flavor for you.
Already roll a 10 for insight. Does he actually notice that, or does he not notice that?
Yeah, he would notice that.
And you hear the voice of a little old halfling woman say,
Ready, dears?
I'll go
Yoshka.
sit down. Oh, delicious. Yes.
Yoshka the bird has decided that we will go and fetch his magical focus first. And so he will perform the ritual, drink the potion, and we will go with him to get his magical focus, and then we will do so for me.
Inkatink looks at him and just kind of sighs and shakes his head. I hear an echo, by the way, but and he starts to do the ritual. And he starts to put all the ingredients in, and he's flipping the knobs and everything. And he holds up the blood, and he looks at Diamondback, and he pours it in, and he finishes it all up, and he pops it out, and he walks over to Diamondback, and he hands it to Diamondback, and he pulls out the other vial, and he points at it, and he points at himself, and he tucks it back in his pocket.
And Toll, Neno, Talad, my lion, what would each of you have us do this day?
I'm a little concerned about the flayed hands.
And what will you do about the flayed hands? We stand in the middle of a wilderness.
Matt, did you catch that Inkatink just made Diamondback's potion and handed it to Diamondback?
Yeah.
Too excited.
Diamondback hasn't reacted to that yet.
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that.
Toll's going to say, we are going to pursue these focuses. I could spend about a day, about being awakened on a tree or something that could perhaps help us in combat.
Might be useful overnight. But if it takes 8 hours to cast, it might not be as useful as moving. We tend to get attacked every night that we stay in the same place as a previous night.
Yes.
The forest doesn't like you to stay still.
And Neno, Talad, do you have anything to say?
Talad, from the moment he woke up, he's just been a bit groggy, and he's gonna just shrug and say, "I don't know. I mean, I'll just stay, do whatever." He's sort of apathetic about all of it.
Inkatink walks over and hands him a little pipe, like a little that looks just like the one that somebody else had.
Talad is gonna, he'll take it and look at it for a second, and then just sort of look at Inkatink like, I don't play this, but thank you.
Inkatink shrugs, walks away.
Nino shoves a hot sausage at Talad and says, "Eat up. We're gonna need your muscles." And just tears into a sausage of her own. Right now, there's food in front of her. That's what she is. That's where her attention is going to all intents and purposes. And she's passing around compliments like they're running out of style. Fluffy, I don't know what you did last night, but you kept everyone away from us. Thank you very much. And this food is delicious. And goodness sakes, this snake. I love the snake. This is my favorite of your snakes. Nothing came in the door. Not even, I didn't even get a bug bite last night. Oh, well, I don't know what bug would come in here knowing we've got a beast of enormous variability right inside with us. It'd be a very brave, brave mosquito to come in his direction. And she just keeps up a patter like this for like 3 or 4 minutes. Meanwhile, giving everybody a chance to like get out of their heads and out of what they're thinking, eat some food, and sit calmly. And then she, finishes her sausage. This whole talk was done with her mouth open and spittle flying, and finds some burlap texture skirt, scrubs off her whole face, and says, "All right, here we go. What way do we want to head?"
Well, I have some things that I cannot do that I want to do, and some things that we cannot do that I want us to do. I was starting to dream that the old blood would help us to break the bell.
Yoshka,
This is the biggest thing I think I want. But yes,
after all of us have our magical focuses, we will be perhaps the most powerful group in the woods. Powerful enough even possibly to go up against the Iron Bell. But before that, we must go back and remove the barrels from the places where they have been put. Who knows what destructive magic lurks within?
I grew up with those barrels. I don't have a doubt about the barrels.
I have a doubt about the barrels.
Yeah,
That water is what turned everyone against us.
Trust the barrels.
But Garriott said something.
Don't trust Garriott.
Garrett was surely deceived, as with the Dryads.
Deceived, if not evil.
He said he did tell us about the old blood. Do you remember? Not all that glitters is gold.
Hmm.
If he was on their side, he would not have. And he said things I did not understand. I did not understand that, and I did not understand what I hate what your Menuhin have been doing.
Because he's evil and he wants
I-
all of those places.
I know my mother. I know my father. I don't know what they were doing, but I know them, and they were something like they were pretending to evangelize and tricking the old in them. Yes, we found another village that has agreed to serve Simderon.
Sorry, Jared. Did you say they were tricking or were tricking?
They were tricking. I think they were tricking the old blood.
Hmm.
I know my mother and father. You know how years and years you can't seeing things.
I want to
Ask our young friend about that.
I want to jump in for one
Inca-
sec.
Inkatink laughs at Ask Our Young Friend about that. A not a pleasant laugh, a very creepy, unsettling laugh.
I'm going to jump in here, and the map that I showed you guys had in the corner of it a couple of things that are in your collective memory. It had 6 particular phrases. I'm just going to tell them to you right now. These are things that may not have stuck in you, the players' minds, but one or more of you kind of noticed these, the characters. Here are those phrases. Elephine said at one point, all the adults of the Orvan receive the blessing of Simdaran in the ceremony. And by the way, I'm just reading you all of the quotes on this thing. You can make them what you will. Elephine, we've delivered these barrels to every town in which the people choose to live differently. Spolash's aide. They'll arrive with the animals by tomorrow from the south. One of the Orvan townfolk. The Great River's only a 20-minute jog to the north. One of the Orvan townfolk. Simdaran owns the forest above.
We finally finished.
A years-long project. Those are the ones.
And Elephine was
The leader of Orvan. Spolash's friend, the old guy. Salad's uncle. Great uncle, really, but.
Those of
So
you
you're hearing this
with
conversation, Talad. Sorry, go ahead.
those of you with spycraft and geopolitical strategy at mind, I think these are good things to complement, to contemplate, and to discuss while we go on our way gathering power.
And froze and
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Matt,
Hi. I can hear you.
I heard all
we
that.
couldn't hear that. You were freezing.
Okay. I'll say it again. It's you guys. It's not us because we can hear each other, but it's fine.
Okay.
Diamondback says, Yoshka, these discussions are good, and we should strategize and we should figure out exactly what to do next to ensure the downfall of the Iron Bell eventually. But we should do this discussion while we're on our way.
Yes, and I am thinking of which way to go. My people are surely in grave danger now that I have seen what I have seen, and they have seen me see. I need to send word to them. I hear you, and I want to go with you to pursue this power. But do you think it is wise? This is unknown. This region is completely unknown to me. And I don't even know how to proceed. It seems blindness to simply cast the spell and follow it. We don't know what's in these woods.
We also don't know that this spell is going to lead us further into these woods. It may lead us right back where we came from. What we do know about where we came from is every beast wants to kill us, and every beast serves the god who hates us. And the barrels, if the barrels are in the towns that serve Simdaran, then we want to deprive them of their power. But if the barrels are in the towns of those who don't serve Syndron, then all those towns are at risk from the liquid in the barrels and whatever plan Elphine and his crew have.
We have used the liquid, and it did not harm us. And did you also?
And then we use it to get to.
Talad is gonna interject. He's a tiny bit confused. He's gonna say, "What barrels? We had a Cooper in town, but I'm sorry. What barrels are we talking about? Because we had a Cooper in town, and we kept like mushrooms in there and stuff. But you guys are probably talking about something different."
The quiet trees, the pines that you farmed and harvested and used for the juice of hiding. That is the main thing that we Menuhin spread abroad in our region.
Yeah, Talad's gonna have this slightly worried realization wash across his face, and he said, "That's Seekerwood. Seekerwood, you distill that, and then it radiates this aura. It's basically they turn into beacons. We are able to see where all the towns are because of that. From what I've heard, I mean, I'm no arcanist."
I have seen it used to hide things.
The magic in it is so strong, it often does hide things.
I feel like they were ripening a fruit for the Iron Bell to pluck.
Belvari says that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Poetic.
The barrels were ripening your food.
Yeah.
They were at least if what you say about them being a beacon that the bell can see is true, then that would explain how the bell is so easily able to find villages scattered throughout the woods.
Before, at least, it was thought to hide them from the Iron Bell. I mean, we see Spolash Iron Bell connected to the people who were ostensibly spreading this stuff. I don't trust any of it.
And they are going to do something big. They have been planning for years. Do you know what Elephine was talking about? What do you know of their plans?
I'm just a mason. I mostly work with stones, and from what little education that I have, I know that the trees are Seekerwood.
Did you ever see them sacrifice a man before?
Just to jump in and let him know what he knows. Children are not allowed in the coming of age ceremony.
That was
No.
their first one. Yeah.
Children out in the coming of age ceremony. We just sort of did what we did.
So you never overheard the adults speaking about their plans? Your father speaking to your mother at night?
No.
No. This is something you would know. And correct me if I'm wrong. You have a small animal skin of the
I
fluid
do.
and a veil as well.
Yeah, but I already know it's magic.
Okay.
My veil tells me if things are magic. I think.
That identified things.
Veil can identify magic components in harvestable bodies.
Listen, if you can bring that veil out, I have something that can show us the nature of it.
I also
Or that vial. Bring out that vial of the liquid and let's see.
I have the vial full of liquid because we poured it to get it. We poured it open. We poured it on the ground to get into to Talbot's home. We can see if there are drops left in it. I have the pouch.
Sorry, I thought you took one. I could be wrong. I thought you took one, and then Garrett came out and took one and gave it to you.
I didn't take a pouch. I didn't steal a pouch of liquid. I tried to soak my skirts in it.
Got it.
But yeah, I just told you guys I tried to steal some.
Okay.
I don't know if I told you, but I tried to steal some. It's about to admit that to my embarrassment that I kept getting away to use what I tried to steal because the long dried.
My impression was, although I'm wrong, I'm okay that I'm wrong. My impression was that you had somehow gotten some into a
Well, now I wish I had.
container. Okay, yeah, sure.
At the time, my memory is that I was dipping skirts hoping that it would.
Okay.
Stick.
Sounds good. You still have the container or somebody?
Let's see if there's drops.
Okay. And she pulls it out and flips her veil. Nothing.
So I'm going to roll to see how much there is, right? And when you emptied it, you just turned it over, blub, 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 and then stuck it back in. So
Not thinking to save any.
no, 19. That means there's, it was on a scale of useless amount to useful amount. So there's, if you, let's say, I'll let you narrate or something, but if you imagine you find, there are flat stones like the one you crawled under. If you find some kind of flat stone and try to pour a puddle of it, you could look at it. You'll have several ounces.
Can't look at it in the bag.
It's in the bag. I mean, you can't look at the liquid. I'm assuming that, I don't know for sure. I'm assuming this is like a, goat bladder type of thing, it's sheepskin.
Looks like this in my mind.
Me too.
Lots of stitches on the side.
Okay, great. Yeah. So very difficult to look at it in. You may be able to get it back in if you put it in a or something.
So you don't have the ability to like look into containers with a spell.
Do we have like a cup or bowl or something?
Yeah, everybody has a mess kit with a cup and a bowl.
Let's just
Everybody has a
Inkatink.
bowl.
Inkatink looks at the amount of fluid in the bag and pulls out his chisel and goes over to some stone and carves out a little relief.
Everybody has a bowl to eat from.
Yeah. Let's pour
Just
some in
scrape
a
your-
bowl and identify it.
If we pour this
Yeah.
out, is it going to become a beacon for evil to come and find us?
Let's pour it out inside our cupboard in our little cave.
So the
Then we will have to leave. But okay.
We have
If I
to
leave
leave.
anyway.
Talon says, I mean, if the secret wood does act as a beacon and all of that, then it would take a very large amount to actually see from, where they are. We'd have to basically be taking an entire barrel with us for them to see where we are.
Okay.
So, just loose liquid doesn't shine.
It does, but you'd have to be like
But not much.
20 feet away for it. It's
Oh.
like it multiplies the greater the mass, the bigger the thing.
So, if we were to release the liquid from the barrels into the domain of the god of underground waters, it would no longer be able to identify the villages.
Yeah, but the waters would be like glowing everywhere. So
I like those odds.
Interesting. Well, let's see what this is. And Yoshika takes out a leaf and some bark and pours a bit into the bowl and does his magic,
What's the magic?
the identify spell.
All right. And
Inkatink points at the shallow thing that he carved out of the granite and looks at Yoshka and just like throws his tools up in the air and walks away.
Diamondback is breaking camp.
he's ready to leave. And Davina, are you doing anything are you going to also use your veil? Are you going to your choice. I don't care for whatever.
I don't even care. I would. You know, we know it's magic. He's doing his thing. I don't think my belt adds anything.
Just want to find out. Is anybody else going to interact with this in any way? Also, please tell me what you're all doing, just so we can. To the little cave thing. Maybe Inkatink has followed. What are the rest of you doing?
Belvaria is half
Ink-
listening and half looking for animals in the
Inkatink is trying to cover their tracks and erase their presence from the area.
Talad is going to like look around the rock that's like an encampment for some like 5 foot, a small slab that has a lot of detail on it, and sort of chip off that section. Just a keepsake, because he may never see one of those. So
It can be like your security blanket for the next day.
very stiff.
All right.
Nana is optimistic about whatever the threats are in this area because it's the beast that wanted to kill us that we're afraid of these guys. Maybe with cause. Maybe. So far, we have had no attacks in this area, and nothing that even looked threatening. I'm optimistic that we are in a domain of a god that hates Simran, and the longer we can stay here, the better.
Does it hate Cinderon
even more kill
Panda,
each other.
or does it hate?
But we are clearly identifying as haters of Simran. He is also a hater of Simran. She, whoever the deity over this area is. We could be among friends and not yet know it. Have the optimist here.
Man, sounds a little trembling.
I don't know. I thought the bell owned every slice of the pie. But Spolash, is he really part of the bell? Did you know him?
Spolash,
Yes.
He came to your town sometimes.
he came sometimes. He was I don't know. I kind of mostly associated him with you guys, like your general
Meadowin.
the Meadowin, the Wayfarers, more than like our town or the Iron Bell.
We think he's connected to Iron Bell because what's his name said he was going to tell Spolash.
Spolash will hear of this. Inkatink says.
If Garatone is enemies with the bell, well, he can still be our enemy and very dangerous. If I want to find a bird and send it back to some of the villages I'm thinking of, if I could only speak to my father and understand what is happening.
Has Belvari seen a bird?
Let me check. You've been keeping an eye out for maybe this whole hour that teardown of camp has been happening. Oh shoot! Actually, you know what? You roll me an animal handling, not animal handling, an investigation. No, wait, survival check because it's a wilderness thing. Survival check with advantage, and I'm going to give you a DC 14 on finding a bird.
Well, advantage did not help. I had a 19 and then a 1. So,
Great. Yeah, you've noticed a couple of birds.
a line of birds. Just
That's right.
Six pack.
That's right. You've seen some birds.
Oh, gotcha. Can I talk to them?
Can you talk to them?
May I talk to them?
I don't know. Can you?
May. I am casting Speak with Animals.
Using your special Medusa Jubilee?
Yeah.
How many does it require a spell slot to speak with animals?
Yeah.
There's also a spell
Yes,
called
you may.
Animal Messenger.
So I have gained the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration. So as I see them flying by, I say, hey, they are limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations of monsters, including whether they can perceive or have perceived within the past day. And you may be able to persuade the beast to perform a small favor for you. Like, hey, come over here. I have someone who wants to talk to you
So,
at GM's discretion.
what the birds you have seen, maybe they look similar, but you see They're ravens.
So very
FU
smart.
ravens. Pretty smart.
Nice. Yeah, I say, hey guys, what's this place like?
Give me a sec. Let me channel my inner raven.
Nevermore.
And they say to you, this is something only Belvari can hear. Y'all are hearing, things like that. I don't know what a raven does, but it's,
Except for me, I can understand too because I speak Raven. I'm just kidding. Wishful thinking.
so what is it you say?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I guess I would ask about Garatone. Like, hey, we've heard this Garatone guy. Is he good, bad, ugly?
And one of them, there are a couple of them there, but one of them says, "We know not."
Okay. How have things been the last day or so? Nice.
Hungry.
I would hold up some food or set it maybe down and step
Yeah.
back.
Fair enough. They are ravenous for it and go eat it. And
Nice. I will
you know.
remove
Was it
a ration, full ration.
So it's meat, probably.
Yeah.
Like some jerky or something.
And then I would ask him again, how's the last day been now?
You are not of here.
It's true.
You are not of here.
Okay. I have a friend who would like to talk to you. Would you mind? There might be some more meat in it for you.
More flesh.
More flesh. We got a lot of flesh. We even have a dude that's made entirely out of you.
They just kind of grumble. And they seem to be waiting and saying, more flesh, more flesh, more flesh.
Okay, I'll go over to.
He's currently inside that thing. Do you want to resolve that first and then figure this out? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say simultaneous with this happening, y'all are doing your thing inside. Let's do your thing real quickly. I'm going to read the identify spell just so that you can know what's going on, guys. Audience, listeners, and you guys. You choose one object that you must touch throughout the casting of the spell. The casting time is a minute, so you can. There's enough for you to basically like stick a finger in the puddle, right in your bowl. If it's a magic item or some other magic imbued object, we'll count this as that. You learn its properties, how to use them, whether it requires attunement to use, how many charges it has, if any. You learn whether any spells are affecting it, what they are. If the item was created by a spell, you learn which spell created it. If you instead touch a creature, you learn about the creature. Okay. So you use your identify spell. Neno is in there with you, but Tal, talk to him. He's out looking for a piece of stone, which, by the way, you do find, and you chip off a good 3-inch little sliver of stone, and you've got like this basically a token kind of.
Does anyone have comprehend languages? We might be able to tell what's on there. Just side note.
So, here's what happens in your room or chamber or whatever. Jared, you've got your finger already touching Yoshka. You've got your finger already touching the liquid, and with the other hand, you crush these components, grind them in your hand, and as usual, the puff of black vapor that is the magic of the forest, emanate. They sort of sublimate and become that, and that is immediately sucked into the black vapor is immediately sucked into the fluid, and it's becoming clear. You're starting to see the fluid during this minute that this is happening a little bit differently. No, you're not. You're seeing him do this, but you see, Jared, you're starting to see that there are tendrils of the forest's mist coming from the ground, coming in from outside, and just being sucked into this small little pool of this liquid. it's like pulling the magic in. You get the very strong impression that the effect of that is that a magical thing near the water, near the fluid, I should say, appears somewhat non-magical because that mist that is being sucked into the fluid. The fluid itself, as you're touching it, and I'm assuming you're describing some of this to Neno. You know, you've got a minute of look what's happening type of thing. As you touch it with your left index finger, having done this, and you're describing that you see these tendrils come in. You actually are seeing tendrils of this come out of your little thin ones out of your component pouch, out of your. In Yoshika's case, you have a magic something I can't remember.
Oh, the Circle of the Night Watch, or
Yeah, your Circle of Night
Crossroad.
Watch. Yeah, and you can see them coming out from her veil. It's sort of like drawing a bit of it's like a thread of that magic coming from everything into this liquid, and quite a lot. It seems like it feels like it's building up, and the liquid is starting to feel warm to you, although you can tell it's just you're sensing something in your body, your mind is interpreting it as heat. As this happens and you're interacting with this liquid this way, the minute of your spell comes to a conclusion, and in the last second, 2 seconds, right around there of that, it feels to you scalding hot, just immensely hot, and it feels to you as though it runs as though the magic of it is suddenly coming out of it. It runs up your finger, through your whole body. It just racks you, and you're just tensed and electrified with this force. Neno, watching Yoshika, what you see is that his entire body is illuminated with a blinding bluish light. It is like you can't look. You close your eyes, and the light is still too bright. So you cover it with your hand and your arm, and it's still too bright. You're having a really hard time. Yoshika, the room is just awash with blue. Those of you outside see a blinding blue flash shoot out of the front for a half second. And then all is quiet.
Diamondback goes running towards Yoshika. Also, we seem to have lost one of our streams.
Sorry. I'll turn it back on. That was the one that sees you guys.
Can you still hear us?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
It was just the one that was looking. It didn't have any audio.
I don't understand this. It takes and it gives. No, this is what Talad said.
Diamondback shows up in a cloud of dust from his running so fast and says, "Are you all right? I saw a flash."
Yes, I think Talad is right. This is a sort of beacon. At first it was hiding the mist in the magical things, and then it gave it all back into that light. Even you could see.
Show me your hand. Does it hurt now?
You feel no pain. As a matter of fact, you can tell that all of the sensations you were feeling, you weren't feeling in your body. You were feeling in some part of you that is acquainted with magic. Not your mind, not your body, but the other element of you. Your finger has no blister. It has no damage. You are still jittery from the experience of having been flooded with this sensation.
Talad's just gonna wonder aloud. I wonder what would happen if you drank it.
That's what they wanted you to do, isn't it?
Did you drink some?
Talad's gonna squint his eyes a little bit and then be like, "I don't think so. I I put some in my mouth. I was about to drink it, but then I found out that, my sister was murdered. I hope not. I hope not.
You were
Did
going to do
something
it?
at the beginning of the.
I mean, I spit it out once. Like I spit it out when my sister got murdered, and I was just nervous because I didn't know that people were dying because of it.
Yes, you didn't know.
You know for sure, all of you know for sure, that the others in the room drank it.
There were two parts to the ceremony. I remember you did do the first part. I can't remember what that was though. Right, there was something before drinking.
Diamondback puts his hand on Yoshka's shoulder
Wasn't paying that much attention.
and he says, "Tonight, you will die like Sleen in the woods if we continue to deliberate." And then the light dies. Better some productive course of action than to wait to be devoured like Davina and Gulb and Sleen and so many others.
Yes. I
Inkatink speaks
Can't
up
go
and
back.
says, "If you never roll big, you never win big, brother. And everybody who keeps rolling goes bust eventually."
Hey boy, Nana hollers toward Toll. Give us your thoughts, big one. What do you think? Do we stay here? Do we go back? Do we wreck the barrels? Do we drink what seems to kill? Tell us what you're thinking.
I was gonna say it kills, and he's gonna look up surprised because you said drink what seems to kill.
I do agree with Diamondback that we should commit sooner rather than later, but if we have a chance to save lives by this liquid, then I say we do it.
I will go with you, Diamondback. I don't know how quickly I am ready to travel, and I do wish to send a message first. Did you speak to the birds?
Yeah, if you give them some meat, they might listen to you.
Okay, I will cast Speak with the Birds.
Mhm.
Let me just mark that so I don't forget.
Wait, sorry, is this Animal Messenger?
I'm going to speak with them first. I think.
Okay.
Nano is.
If you don't want to
Oh,
use components,
okay.
you can just talk through me if you want.
As a translator.
Okay,
I have 10 minutes.
I will. Okay,
We'll call it like 5-ish left because of the tumult of the.
ask them where the people are.
I say, where are the people?
Which people?
They want to know who.
Ask them if there are any people who live within a day's flight from here.
I pass that on.
Live. People who live. Some people live.
Oh no.
Do y'all go south of the river?
Never. Well, for meat.
By the way,
Nano's
Inkatink's
often
repeating everything they say.
Do you ever hear an iron bell ringing?
The
Or
iron.
just make the noise. Best you can.
Or maybe
I ask
Inkatink
Inkatink
can.
to make
Yeah.
that noise.
Yeah, if Belvard points at Inkatink, Inkatink makes the dong 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 dong.
That
And-
familiar?
And the crow seems to sing song, actually mimicking human sound, because crows can do that some, and seems to do a sort of a sing song. Call the bell, they save us. Call the bell, they save us. Bring the light, bring the light. Call the bell, they save us.
So you like the bell?
Which way is the closest group of people? This
So-
side of the river.
They're going to answer him just because he
Yeah.
asked. But you like the meat?
Work for anybody. And yeah, and then ask, where the closest people are.
The closest people. The people are all around.
Any groups? Murders?
The crow says, "Ah, yes."
The murders are all around.
Are there,
Double entendre.
Yeah.
when the people have died, do they ever rise to walk again?
Of course.
Many of them?
Of course.
We should get out of here.
Diamondback is paying close attention. I guess Diamondback couldn't hear that because it's not in
Translate that to
common.
Yoshka in a way that does not prick Diamondback's attention.
Well, Belvari is repeating what the crows are saying in
He
common.
is interpreting what the crows are saying.
Yeah, you tell us what Belvari tells to Yoshka that Diamondback hears.
Well, strictly speaking, you're not interpreting. The spell is doing the interpreting. You're repeating what you're hearing from the spell, right?
The spell
Maybe.
does not force me to say words. The spell puts ideas in my head, and then I say words.
Yeah, what does Diamondback hear about this particular little nugget of information?
Diamondback hears we should get out of here.
Okay, so at this point, Yoshka, you're going to have to help me make a decision here. Yoshka recalls what he remembers about Tondun and Billa. And he tries to think if they have these barrels. Firstly, that.
You think probably some of those towns do, but you know for sure that you didn't just know the towns before.
Yeah.
So
You can watch your circuit.
And do I remember, in my imagination, Yoshka, he was the performer, and so he would draw a crowd and be social and interact with people, and probably something like try to make a friend at each place or something like that. Does he remember a trusted friend from Tonda or Billa?
it would have been 2 years between each visit to such a place. Friends wouldn't have been super close, like pen pals. It's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
People I looked forward to seeing, or I could tell they looked forward to seeing me.
yeah. People in general were friendly towards you. You definitely had some friends and such. You'll know that because of your map and whatever, you have no idea where those towns are or how to get from one to another.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't navigating. You just knew you're 6 years old, right? And your dad's or whoever are like driving the 24 wayfarers around in your caravan or on your mules or whatever you're using. So you're gonna, you can do this, but it is okay with me. But your path for this, Yoshika would know, is cross the river, go. So to give you a sense of this, you're north of the river, so you're gonna go south if you were to go right back to you would, but you would go south. That's the nearest place you can possibly recall, and then you would turn eastward, which is going to be towards the headwaters, upstream, and would wander around looking for towns.
I'm not thinking of going there right now. I'm thinking of sending one of these ravens as an animal messenger.
You could
Just see
definitely, yeah, you could definitely send them to several towns. Like you could say, go find some towns, and they would, go the distance. What do they travel a day, something like
Yeah.
that? And they would go.
No more than 50 miles.
Yeah, so they would fly around, and from a bird's eye view, as it were, they'd be between the two canopies. Right, the great canopy is huge, but above the canopy, in the light, they'd be able to see motion of people, or what's happening. Kind of get the idea. Also, you have a general sense that some of the towns are near a river. You could say some things about that would help. And their crows are smart enough that they could try.
Okay. It looks like you can interpret too. It sounds like I don't necessarily have to know how to get there from here, but just a place that I've visited.
Yeah, and you know the general direction. Like you have to within a say 40-ish degree arc from you, right? Like they're that way, southeast direction from you, or something like that.
Well, I don't want to take up so much time doing this. Basically, what I think Yoshika's trying to do is pick someone he feels like he can trust in about a day's flight, his estimation of a day's flight.
Yeah.
And just try. Send a bird. If there's some...
Tandem is the place you would want to go.
Okay.
It's the place you remember. And may I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Do you have more than one animal messenger casted?
Yeah. I was going to just probably try 3 to start with.
Consider giving the animal messenger one set of the components to the crow with the message. Use it again to send to my father. Then you maybe look for Billa or Ribbleman.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, you don't have to. I'm just giving you a way to think. You could think about
Yeah.
the world. It increases your range.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would know a person or two in each town that you could say, look for this person. The crows are smart enough that they can eavesdrop a little and look around. They're not going to be able to start a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could describe the person. Hey, blonde hair or half orc or whatever.
Man, I have legit heebie-jeebies. This is awesome creepy.
Okay, well, I will do that. I will make a little bundle of, let's see how many I can afford here. Animal messenger. Okay, so I have the three necessary.
While you're looking, Nino heard him ask if the dead ever walk, and heard your reply, we should get out of there. And her tune has changed entirely. She doesn't want to have anything to do with this whole pie wedge. She's ready to start swimming if we were closer.
The other one's not too nice either, but
Also,
It's a known threat.
you have seen, just to say, you've seen almost no
Living thing of any kind.
anything of any kind. Plants. You've seen plants and stones, and some crows. Just to say.
You've seen carnivorously bloodthirsty.
That does not bode well. Just in general.
I mean, it kind of bodes both ways. Sorry, I'm not in the party. It does. It's like it's an interesting thing. They're not all over the place.
Okay, well, I will get a little satchel of 3, enough for 3 spells of animal messenger, or 2. Tie it to the foot of, so I guess maybe I would need to cast it on the raven first so that it commits or something.
Sure.
Tie it to the foot, and then give it a message to fly to Tonden to, let's say, a pretty girl I knew there who we would go on walks together when I went. And tell her.
You have to tell him the color of her hair.
She's bald.
She really liked
Okay.
elf meat.
It always
also
had
bad.
some on her.
Side note, none of y'all have ever seen an elf. Interesting. There are no
See,
elves.
and- got it.
So, while Jared's doing that, Jared is going to tell the messenger, go to Tondon, find either my father who looks like this or a girl who looks like that. Give this message to my father and that message to the girl. Something like that.
Belvari, if
You could write a little note or something.
is there a leftover bird, crow, or is he taking them all?
Are you casting on just one or a couple?
Is he literate?
I was going to cast it on one, and I was just working out the message, 25 words or less, to say something like, look for the specific girl in Tondon, and say, message from Yoska. These are magics. Send them to Yoshka's dad.
Okay.
Find a bird, send him to Yoshka's dad, or something like that. Yoshka's alive. That's like the basic message I want to pass on. And like,
That's enough.
something like
Yeah. I don't need exactly 25.
Cool.
But that just gives you that's an idea of the terse.
Okay.
The terse of the thing. That sounds great. Is Yoshka literate? Can he write?
Man, I was imagining the old blood taught me, like, showed me books and taught me some basic reading. I don't know how that fits into, but I don't know.
Maybe they did. More likely, since I don't think you'd been in there before, more likely they had taught your father or some of the older
something like
people, and they illicitly passed that on to you.
Yeah.
You're gonna say?
Belvari takes one of the nicer ravens aside with the last of his
There
little
really are the glasses.
Oh yeah, ravens.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. A
and-
mix of crows and ravens is what you were talking about.
Gotcha. And says like, hey, if you follow me around and tell me if something's up, there's more meat in it for you. But if you betray me, and he poison sprays like a tree over there and hits it to show him like,
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
The tree wilts under the poison, you've sort of defoliated it, and it wilts and for several moments and kind of is re-erected but still wilting.
It's either a persuasion check with
Thoughts.
disadvantage or an intimidation check.
The crow says, "Never betray flesh."
okay, well, if he follows me, he does. If he doesn't, I'm not gonna keep casting. So I'm just assuming
yeah.
he'll fly up and
Yeah.
make noise.
Sounds good.
Hey,
And,
Mr. Dungeon Master.
That's me.
While they've been, frankly, farting around, Diamondback, can Diamondback have gathered? Can Diamondback have spent this time usefully gathering some components, preferably necromancy components?
It's
From
taking about
around
10,
the-
15 minutes.
Oh, okay, because real life. Okay, only 10 or 15 minutes then. He hasn't been able to gather anything. But you see him in the woods starting to search for components.
Yeah, you've been breaking camp.
Yeah, it's
and
broken.
You finished, and that's fine. You maybe Toll helped you. Okay, so Diamondback, tell me and whether you did anything with it, and also Inkatink.
The last thing that happened in Diamondback's mind is he gave a very convincing argument for why Yoshka would rather come with him and search for this magical power versus dying. But
Yoshka-
nobody
Yoshka
has
says to
come
go.
with him yet. He said he would, but
says
he
to
didn't.
go. Okay.
So
he's
I'm
taking
waiting
you-
around. I'm just waiting. Can we
You are
go?
so good with your character.
We can strategize anytime after I have insane magical abilities like Garriott has and like Belvari currently has, of which I'm so jealous.
Did you
We can
notice-
strategize all you want while I play with my new magic that I'm going to get real soon.
Is Diamondback saying this in character?
No,
Oh,
but this
okay.
is he's radiating this like heat
billboard.
coming off of him.
Sure.
We're all hearing it telepathically, or at least teleemotively.
All right. So what do you want to do? The birds go off. Yoshka, you do the instructions for them. You send them on their way. One bird, a couple of birds. What'd you do?
One bird with a satchel so that
Yeah.
the girl can cast it again and send it to.
You send that bird off, but the others, several others, take off with it and fly with it. One of them hangs around for some flesh from Belvari. It is they're pretty hungry, it seems like. So while y'all were doing that, Toll and Diamondback seem to have broken camp and are ready to go. Diamondback is pacing patiently around, and Toll is readying himself for what the group decides. It sounds to me as though y'all are at a decision point. What would you like to do?
Okay, let's go find you some power.
Inkatink turns to Diamondback and points at the potion and says, "Here's to the road ahead, and what's at the end that got us out of bed. Bottoms up, partner."
Diamondback quaffs the potion and goes.
Diamondback, you quaff this little tiny potion. Remember, these are small little phials, like stone wood phials. But you drink it down, and it has a kind of bitter metallic taste on your tongue. It reminds you of some of your times at home when your arcanists of your village would do things with blood for animating corpses. It has that iron sort of metallic flavor of blood, which makes sense. You drink it down, and you feel this tingling run up and down your back, and at the top of your head, you feel your scalp starting to tingle and bristle a little bit, and it sort of centers and slides back, this tingling down the sides of your neck on those tendons that run down those muscles into your shoulders. It reaches down to the bottom of your back just a little bit, but the main force of it, the main weight of it, you feel tingling, scratching, kind of rubbing just behind the base of your skull, as though someone has started pushing you forward. And as you stretch, trying to get used to that feeling, you can tell that it's pushing you in not just forward wherever you look, but in one particular direction.
Please let that be back toward the water. Please let it be back toward the water.
I set off at a jog in that direction.
And you feel it pushing you, and for just a moment, you're leaning forward slightly because of this pressure, but you start walking because you feel almost compelled. It's like you're being driven to something. Quick interjection before I describe what happens and where. You'll remember from Inkatink. Inkatink previously used his potion in Mirrodau, if you recall that. He went out during the night one night and ran for some hours. Isn't that right, Inkatink?
Indeed, it is.
Yeah. Inkatink will be the only one who knows this because when Belvari used his potion,
Is in the same room.
is in the same room. But Inkatink is aware of about how long it lasts. He doesn't seem to have conveyed that to anybody yet. It hasn't really come up. But y'all have no idea what will happen. Inkatink did not find a focus in his journey that evening, but he ran for some hours. Diamondback, as you're twisting and you're finding your direction, you end up finding yourself needing to, with a gravity, point sort of generally northeast, maybe northeast. This is not pulling you either upstream or downstream relative to your current position particularly. It's sort of keeping you at the same level, but you've gone a little bit around the circle here of the waters, the rivers. But you find yourself going northeast. You are not on a path. You are just in the woods, but you're now at a mild jog, going northeast.
Does it push him into any trees?
He seems a little bit loath as he as he jogs, a little bit loath to occasionally shift out of the way of a tree or rock, because it feels unnatural to him not to be going towards where he's being drawn. Doesn't seem to be in pain. He seems to be doing fine, but as he is now 30, 40 feet ahead of you guys, what do you do?
I'm gonna fall.
All right. So you all come up and are jogging.
Except for that, who has a flat out sprint.
That's right.
What's your walking speed?
I think it's 20 instead of 30.
25.
So yeah, y'all are going northeast. You jog for about maybe half an hour and 45 or maybe 45 minutes when, out of the blue, this episode ends.
Right on time.
So,
Our first not frightening end of an episode.
I don't know if you were playing the same game as I was.
Just then, Nino is decapitated. You see her head roll past to the rest of the party as they stop.
so let me do my exit boilerplate here. Sorry, one sec.
This is such a bummer. I had like a whole mythology built up about how the hand got flayed, and
How it was
apparently
a
it's all
nice
wrong.
flaying.
Maybe it's not. Maybe you're exactly right.
I guess I'll find out.
Well, that's where we will end this episode. Thank you for listening. You can get more details about the world and the story we're telling at the starfallcollective.com. All right, that's it.
Perhaps it nicely resurrects plants in their sickly dead condition.
All right, I'm going to stop the stream.
There.